Hello everyone. I just want to talk to you today about trusting the timing in life and not giving up in the waiting. Time is mentioned a lot in the Bible, and just here's a few scriptures that mention time. Ecclesiastes 3, very well known one. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. And it states several things, but a few of them like time to be born, a time to die, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time for war and a time for peace. And then in John 2, chapter 2 verse 4, it says Jesus' mum was trying to save the wedding host from a really big embarrassment because the wine had run out, and that just was not culturally acceptable. So she speaks to him and he says, "Dear woman, why do you involve me? My time has not yet come." But it went on to be Jesus' first miracle. So obviously he did what his mum was asking. But it's all about timing, you see. And then in the book of Esther, we read how she was chosen due to her beauty, really, out of all the women in the land, to become the new queen to King Xerxes. So she actually gained his trust by telling him about a plot to kill him, because her uncle Mordecai had overheard this and told her. So that really made her gain the king's trust. And then there's nothing, then it's kind of silent in the book of Esther. And then 4 years later, this guy called Haman gets promoted, and we don't really know who he is or why he gets promoted. It's not mentioned, but he's a right big head, and everybody has to bow down to him. But Esther's uncle Mordecai doesn't, and he was so angry, like this man, that Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. And it wasn't enough just to plot to kill him. He wanted to wipe out the Jewish people because of this, all the Jews in the region. So Esther had always obeyed her uncle, and advised by him, she kept her Jewish background a secret. And now it turns out that she becomes the only person that can save the Jews. And even though she was queen, she still risked execution if she approached the throne to the inner court without being summoned. So she told her uncle it's too risky, but he says to her, "Don't think that you'll be saved if Haman carries out his plan." And then his famous words are, "And who knows but that you have come to royal position for such a time as this." And she agrees, and it's a great book. Like, if you haven't read it, do read Esther. It's absolutely brilliant. Maybe you find yourself in a situation now that makes no sense to you and you can't get out of it. And maybe you feel that you're on the way to something that God has for you, that he's got something planned, but it's taking absolutely ages. Or maybe there's a big decision for you to make in your life, and now is the time that you need to be really brave and trust God for the outcome, because you just don't know how it's going to pan out. Or maybe you've been waiting years to see a loved one saved, and you feel that it's going to never happen. But let me encourage you in this. I'm sure these two ladies won't mind me saying, I hope. But Hilary, she prayed for her husband Eddie for 40 years before she heard him invite Jesus into his life. And Vicky prayed 30 years for Bob, the same prayer. And both those women had no idea of when or if it would even happen. But had God have told them how long it was going to be, maybe they'd even give up praying. I don't know. I would find that very difficult to know I had to pray 40 years for something. But they continued to pray and witness, and didn't it pay off? So I'm sure several of you are probably praying the same prayer for your loved ones, for your friends. So just please be encouraged by Vicky and Hilary's stories there. I myself became a Christian in 1990, and I started praying for my family. And within 2 years, God got hold of my mum, her sister, Mick, my uncle, his wife, And then before they died, another one of my aunts and my nan. And it was amazing. It was like this domino effect of people in my family just becoming Christians. And then suddenly it stopped. It was nothing. It was just like dormant for years and years and years. And then suddenly, a few years ago, my cousin, who had been driving my aunt and uncle to church for ages, just decided to go in. And that very morning, she heard the gospel and she gave her life to Jesus, and she absolutely shines with him ever since. She works in a care home and she's so happy in her job. I mean, she is just, yeah, oozing Jesus, you know. And we thought there was going to be no more salvations, and she came through so well, and she's so full of joy and bubbles over with him. She's a great witness. And then we thought, right, okay, that was great, and then maybe nobody else. And then just a couple of months ago, her sister, my cousin, was round, and she tried an Alpha course a couple of years ago, and she'd even seen a vision of Jesus, but she turned away again. It just wasn't the right time. But when she was round a few weeks ago, she told me, she whispered to me when it was just us in the kitchen, that she'd just become a Christian a couple of days before. So you can imagine the joy, like another family member giving their life to God. And it was actually my mum passing away that had affected her greatly, and we chatted a lot at that time, and I told her how I knew that I would see my mum again, because, you know, we're both Christians and it was only a temporary separation, and things like that helped her to surrender her life to God and put him in the driving seat. So yeah, no regrets there. So who knows how God may use us wherever we find ourselves, on the mountaintops of life or in the valleys, in the best or the worst jobs, in need or plenty, single, married, widowed, divorced. Our job is just to share how good it is to have God in our lives, whether that is in word or deed. And the big stuff, the timing, the ordering of our steps, where we have no idea where the path is going sometimes, the revelation, the salvation, that is all God's job. And doesn't he do it well? So yeah, today, so my encouragement to you would be just trust the timing, and because God's always got it. He's always got it. Anyway, have a lovely day.